right now we are driving the automatic. I've also driven the manual, so I'll talk about that as well. I think this is one of the things which few vehicles have not really got down really well, but the Kylaq does it so well. It is often seen that in families, it is the eldest child that has the most amount of responsibilities on their shoulders. But that does not seem to be the case with Skoda India. You see, today I have the Kylaq, the newest and youngest member of the Skoda family. It sits in the highly competitive sub 4 meter compact SUV segment and is their most affordable product right now. Needless to say, it is going to face tough competition from the established names, and Skoda also aims to grab a major chunk of the car market in India with this very product. So, has it got too many responsibilities for its sub 4 meter frame, or does it stand tall on some pretty solid engineering and smart features? Let's find out. Let's go. Now, I will not bore you too much with the design details of the Kylaq, because let's be frank, you must have already seen countless pictures and videos of this vehicle already, and even on our channel we had videos of this vehicle. But to quickly summarize it, I think this is a very nice, neat and compact package. Overall, it's 3,995 mm long, while the wheelbase is quite a healthy 2,566 mm. So if you look at the car from the side, you will notice that the wheels are pushed almost all the way towards the edges, especially over at the back. So you have maximum amount of room on the inside, even in this compact package. Design-wise, I've always liked Skoda vehicles, and the Kylaq is no different. I really like how Skoda goes on and gives it a very sharp look with all these creases on the bonnet here, this little scoop, and even on the side and over at the back you will notice them. Then you have the signature grille at the front and a split LED headlamp and DRL setup, which again looks really nice. You have a bunch of color options to choose from. We have this one, and I really like the texture of the paint as well. And then if you move to the side as well, you will notice that you have smart 17-inch diamond cut alloy wheels. Now these are only available in the top end trim. The lower ones get 16-inch alloys or steels depending on the variant that you pick, and you also get these roof rails to accentuate the SUV-ish appeal of this vehicle. Now I noticed that all the presence of plastic at the front, on the sides, at the back, even in these roof rails, along with the boxy design and the paint scheme, makes this look like a toy car, but in a good way. I mean, it makes your inner child really happy and you just want to get inside and drive this fast, really fast. And at the back you have these very compact and kind of boxy taillight units, which I think is a nice refresher, considering that most vehicles these days have these connected taillights or long swooping ones. So this is, I think, a nice refresher, something to cleanse your palate. And like I said, you have the Skoda lettering, a lot of sharp creases and nothing much to see over here. But overall, I think you will like the design of the Skoda Kylaq because it is so reminiscent of the other Skoda vehicles, which also look really nice. Now let's get inside. Now it's time to talk about the all-important interior experience of the Kylaq, and I'm sitting in the first row, and the first thing I would like to highlight is that in this top-end trim you get 6-way power adjustable driver and co-passenger seat, which is really nice. Apart from that, you get a large 10-inch touchscreen infotainment system which has wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay connectivity. You have an 8-inch digital instrument cluster over here. Now both of these are familiar things we have seen in other Skoda vehicles, but the touchscreen interface is a little bit different on this, and I really like this kind of design. It has a lot more space, it has newness to it, which I really like, and the touch response is obviously pretty great. The instrument display is almost the same as the other vehicle, so there's nothing much to report over there. It's pretty good, gives you all the big readouts, so that is nice. You get a familiar 2-spoke steering wheel, and since this is the automatic variant, you also get these paddle shifters behind it, and this 2-spoke steering wheel also is pretty nice to hold, looks good as well. And I must also mention that you get driver side seat height adjustment as standard on this vehicle, again something that a lot of drivers would really appreciate. And I also appreciate this proper handbrake, and I prefer this over the electronic parking brake. apart from this, you'll notice that because this is a kind of a budget vehicle, there aren't too many soft touch surfaces here. It's all hard plastic, be it here, here, here. But at least Skoda, what they have done is that they've given different textures in different sides of their dashboard. So you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of finishes. So it just keeps the cabin quite refreshing. It keeps things quite interesting, which I really like. And I also like these big imposing air vents as well. I did find that the armrest area over here on the doors it has this, I wouldn't say quirky, but like a unique design, and definitely something that you will take a little bit of time to get used to. It's definitely usable. It's just something a little bit different than what we usually see in cars. But you get a lot of storage spaces. You have door pockets, obviously, for holding water bottles. You have a wireless charging pad over here, and you have 2 cup holders, a small pocket to house the key, which is again a neat addition. You also have a little bit of storage space here in the armrest. So overall, there is a lot of space. Even in the glove box, which is a cooled unit, you can have this accessory to hold your sunglasses or any other small things. So that is also pretty neat. Overall, the seats, I think, provide good amount of cushioning. If you're of medium build, then you will nicely fit in these, and the bolsters will hold you in place, and the material is also nice. And of course, you get seat ventilation in this variant, so that again is really helpful during peak summers. Time to talk about the second row experience, and you can easily seat 2 people here. A third might be a little bit of a squeeze, especially considering that you have this armrest poking out, and even the seat squab is a little bit different. But for 2 people, it's going to be quite comfortable. Now, the front seat is adjusted to my driving preference. I am 6 feet tall, and as you can see, I do have a little bit of knee room, so that's not a problem. And thankfully, this has a good amount of under thigh support. A lot of vehicles I've driven recently, they have absolutely terrible under thigh support. Not so with the Kylaq, so good marks over there. Yes, I have to keep my feet a little bit towards on the inside because there are these panels which get in the way, so that is a small problem. But otherwise, I have decent amount of leg room, not too much. I can't like outright stretch my legs in this, but this is fine. As for the backrest angle, it's decent. At first I thought maybe it's a little bit too upright, but you know, having been sat here for a little while, I can say that this is quite comfortable, and even the cushioning is very nice. It's got the perfect amount of hardness to not be too hard, and it's not too soft that you don't feel comfortable because of that as well. You get adjustable head restraints, which is good, and you can notice that I am not touching the roof despite my height, and that is thanks to this scoop over here. So even if you're on the taller side, the headroom will not be a problem in the Kylaq. What I also really like is that if you have a phone, and for some reason if you don't want to keep it in your pocket, you can keep it in this pocket right here. It's a nice utility pocket present on both sides, and of course you have more storage to keep maybe some papers over there, so that is also nice. You have 2 USB Type-C charging ports here to complement the 2 USB-C ports up front, and of course you get rear AC vents, so when it gets hot you get cold air for yourself. The armrest, if I open it up, comes with 2 cup holders, pretty standard stuff. And overall, I really like the second row experience. I was expecting it to be a little more cramped, but thankfully it is decent. I won't say it's the most spacious, but it's not cramped either. One thing that I did not like as much, well, the seat, the back of the seat sort of ends towards the edges, and you have this plastic material on the sides, and Skoda has thankfully given it a little bit of scoop. So when you keep your hand on the handrest over here, or if you are just sitting like this, your elbow is definitely going to touch this plastic part, which is not going to be as comfortable as the cushion of the seat. So maybe extending the seat would have been nice, but I think it's a structural issue because there is a plastic panel over there. So that's one small niggle that I came across. Otherwise, it's a pretty nice experience here. And now let's come to the boot space. Skoda says that this has 446 liters of storage area if you fill it all the way up to the brim. We have 2 bags here right now deliberately to show you how much space there is. So you can easily carry your daily luggage in this. Maybe the long rides, that will be a little bit of a problem, but you can still get maybe 2 or 3 big suitcases if you remove the parcel tray, and it would still not hinder your rear visibility. If you want more space, you can of course fold the second row seats down and increase the boot space to a little more than 1200 liters. And now once you finally have to close it, Skoda has put in this clever lever. So if you're maybe slightly shorter, then you can hang on to this, pull it down and close it. Okay, now it's time to talk about how the Kylaq is to drive. Well, this vehicle comes with the proven 1-liter TSI petrol engine. It's a 3-cylinder motor, turbocharged, and you get it with the option of either a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed torque converter automatic. Right now we are driving the automatic. I've also driven the manual, so I'll talk about that as well. In terms of specs, well, it's the same. You get about 114 bhp and 178 newton meters. Out on the road, this is easily one of the most fun vehicles you can buy in this segment, period. The reason why I say that is because this motor is extremely fun to rev. So mash your pedal on the floor and it starts moving. Yes, there's a little bit of lag in the automatic because it thinks about the gears, it shifts down and then it gives you the power. And even when you're driving the manual, you will have to keep it above about 2700 RPM for you to really hear the purr of the engine and to get all that meaty power. Below that, it's a bit more, let's say, civic in its mannerisms, which is good for city driving because you do not want to be getting those head nods every single time you press the accelerator. So that way, it's pretty good. Below 2000 RPM, yes, it's a little bit lethargic, but as you go up above, you feel more power, you feel more engagement coming through the engine. What I also really like is that when you're just casually cruising, I'm cruising at 70 right now, and there is no music, and still the damping is so good in terms of the engine noise, the road noise, the tire noise, and this is a concrete highway of a sort, and despite that, I'm not getting any kind of annoying noise inside the cabin. So the NVH levels are really, really great. I think this is one of the things which few vehicles have not really got down really well, but the Kylaq does it so well. And the engine also feels so refined. Yes, we've seen a lot of 3-cylinder engines being refined, but I think this by far takes the cake, especially in this segment. It is just so smooth. If you're just normally cruising around, if you're just normally driving in the city, whether you have the manual or the automatic. Another thing that really helps the Kylaq is its suspension setup. It is brilliant. Yes, it's a bit on the firmer side, but that does not mean it's uncomfortable. It's not bouncy. When you have a pothole or a speed breaker or any kind of bump, it soaks in the shock, it dampens it well, and there's not a lot of bounce back after you cross the said pothole or ditch, and that is really good. And once you do start pushing the Kylaq, well, then you get a lot of mechanical grip, even through slightly uneven surface. If you're going fast, you do not feel the vehicle floating underneath you, which is really a great feeling to have in a vehicle which is essentially in a more budget sort of segment. So that way, Skoda has kept their driving dynamics intact. One area where maybe they could do a little bit of work is maybe the response from the steering wheel. It is pretty good, but by Skoda standards, I would have liked a little bit more feedback at lower speeds. Once you do go fast, the steering weighs up nicely and you get more confidence, but at slower speeds, I felt like you had to turn it a little bit more than in the other vehicles. Now, talking about the manual gearbox, that is also pretty easy to use. If you've driven other Skoda vehicles with the 6-speed gearbox, you'll know what to expect. In certain shifts, yes, it is a little bit notchy, but most of the times it's going to work well. The throws are pretty decent and you can engage different gears, and even the clutch is not too heavy. So you're not going to have too much trouble with that engine. I would recommend, however, that if you primarily want to use your vehicle for the city, you still go for the automatic because it just gives you that extra bit of convenience. I would now also like to address the elephant in the room, and that is the lack of ADAS even as an option in the higher trims. Now, depending on your preference and what you think of ADAS, whether you think it's intrusive, whether you think it's a good safety feature to have, you might like or dislike this fact. I would definitely love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you prefer a car to be without ADAS in this segment, or do you want it to be there? However, Skoda has not compromised on safety in other aspects. You get 6 airbags as standard, you get a host of active and passive safety features, and this vehicle has already scored 5 stars in the crash test rating, both for adult and for children. So this has that proven record of being a safe SUV for you and your family. One small niggle that I faced with the Kylaq was with the rear parking camera. The quality is not great, it's quite dull also. So that is clearly one area where you can see the signs of cost cutting. Having driven the Kylaq and spent some time with it, I can definitely say that Skoda has packed it with the minerals it requires to shoulder all the responsibility that is on its shoulders. It has a fun engine, a lot of features on the inside, and a very nice design as well. Yes, there are a few niggles here and there, but that's the case with most products out there. Now, one thing that is not in Skoda's hand is how the competition reacts, because I'm pretty sure they won't be sitting quiet, but definitely they have a big threat in front of them if they don't step up their game. But in all of this, it's us who are winning, the consumers. We get so many great cars, and the Kylaq is just one of them, and plus points for being made in India and being 5-star rated. So that is the Kylaq for now. We will be testing it more when we get the car back in Delhi for things like the mileage, the long range comfort of this vehicle and things like that. So make sure that you are subscribed to our channel to know when that video drops. If you like this specific video, make sure to hit the like button, because it encourages us and it also tells YouTube that this video is doing well and it recommends it to more people. Until the next time, this is Aakash Paul signing off. Bye bye.